not a drill, this is not a drill. All warriors, mount up. Proceed to nav point Gamma. Rendezvous with Mobile HQ for tactical and situational analysis. Welcome to the MHQ Podcast.
Hey everybody, this is Jose Suarez. Ronald, Randall, and Bradley are here with me. And so is our guest today, Michael Ciaravella. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and go on mute so the gentlemen, our guys, can start asking questions and get this party started. Hey, Bradley's
I know.
here.
Definitely want to thank you for coming, but I think Ron probably wants the first crack at some questions for you.
Yeah, this is my brother from a different mother, if y'all can't tell on this audio format only that we're pretty much look alike. That was a joke at Gen Con. It was quite comical. Anyways, Michael, we just want to ask you for one thing. Again, thank you for coming on. How did you get into the BattleTech universe in the first place? What was your first passion and drive-in point to that for us?
Well, it's a fun twin item right there. So I read my first BattleTech book, which was Warrior on Guard, before I knew there was a game. It was, I just picked up, I was looking for space operas, politics. I'm a huge sci-fi fan, Star Trek, Babylon 5. I wanted something in that vein, and I picked up Warrior on Guard by Mike Stackpole, and it was just amazing. Coincidentally, about 2 weeks later, my father took me to a science fiction convention on Long Island, Icon, which no longer exists, but I still remember fondly. Because he's traveled a lot for work, he took me on the fourth day of a 3-day convention when they were just shutting down. But one of the few people who was still there was a fan pro agent who was teaching BattleTech, and held up a little plastic baggie with a javelin in it and said, "Hey kid, I'll give you this mini for free if you let me teach you the game." And so I played my first game at Stony Brook University, and I was hooked ever since. Once I realized that amazing book series that I was reading went to an actual game, both my passions were engaged.
So, just like a drug dealer, your first one's free.
Yep. This time, I've gotten better over the years. I used to call it the dime bag because that's what it was. It was the little plastic dime bag with a javelin in it. And I was so disappointed at the time because he didn't have a Jenner. He'd already given out all his Jenners. So, oh well.
Oh, no.
All right.
Looks like we're doing some technical difficulties. We'll cut out some of this little stuff here.
All right. Sorry about that. I'm Michael.
Now we can hear you.
Now we can
There you
hear
go.
you.
Sorry about that, guys. Comstar and their damn trickery.
Space AT&T, they got what's coming to them.
All right, next question's going to be real simple. Some people simple. Favorite mech and why?
I always like to go with the classic of the Marauder. It is just an elegant looking mech, and for something that hits hard, fast enough to do to be maneuverable still, I'll never get away from that. Was the mech that made me fall in love with the universe, as I know it does for many people. On a newer level, I'm a huge fan of the Devastator.
Oh, hell yeah.
When you can, especially the DV2, when you got 2 Gauss rifles, 2 PPCs, some medium lasers just for fun, it's just a monster. And such a zombie. Such a great mech.
So you're happy for the new plastic one, then I take it.
I very much like the new plastic one. I was really excited to see that coming out from Mercenaries, and I'm glad it came out this wave instead of one of the future ones. So. And how much play it's gotten right now. The McCarran's Armored Cavalry Pack. You will see more of the Devastator. It is always there to help you.
I just ordered a whole bunch of miniatures, and I'm waiting on them to come in. I've got an OCD thing. Got to be pairs of 2. So we'll see what the Mercenaries have brought me.
Now, Michael, do you have a preferred clan mech that you like, by any chance?
It's really going to be the Timberwolf for me. The Mad Cat is just, once again, it's got that the Marauder aesthetic to it, but no, it's just for just all around amazingness. I'll never get away from the Timberwolf. And I love my clan mechs. They've got a lot of charm. But for me, it almost gets to the min-max point of what do I need for this particular moment? Do I need a Piranha just to drive everybody a little nuts? Or do I need a Daishi and just I'm blasting through literally anything that comes here? Or my good old-fashioned Stone Rhino, in which case, when you absolutely positively have to shoot someone from 4 map sheets away, that's where we go.
Are you primarily a BattleTech player or Alpha Strike? What's your game of choice right now?
That's a really tough one to say right now. I cheat. So I don't cheat while playing the game, but I cheat because working for both Catalyst and being for CDT, I've been playing a lot of BattleTech Aces, the new solo play version of Alpha Strike, and I'm loving it so much. Josh Derrickson is a brilliant designer, but it is reigniting my love for the game again. I always say I'm a classic BattleTech player because that's the tournaments I did, that's going to Gen Con, that's always what I did, and I love the chunkiness of it. But at that same point, there is so much charm to being able to play company versus company, and even more so than that, to play solo play, or play me and my family members against the AI deck opponents right there. It is so much fun, and I believe it's truly going to be a game changer for the industry, not just for the game.
Yeah, it's a very fair point. And I shared those pictures with you of the big game that we've done with the whole trinaries and the companies and battalions and stuff like that. It's Alpha Strike for that. That's where it really shines. And I'm looking forward to Aces 2. And there are 4 boxes for that, I'm correct?
Yes, there are. For right now,
That's
there
awesome.
are 4 boxes, 4 different campaign boxes, which is going to be huge. Also, I was just thinking about this the other day. I'm not sure if you guys remember, well, we're talking like 15, 20 years ago for the purposes of Gen Con, but they used to do like the campaign battle using classic BattleTech, but it used to run nearly 24 hours for the 4 or 5 days. My first 2 Gen Cons, I remember I just played that. I didn't play a tournament. I don't think I moved from the table for like 18 hours at a time. You were also, because this was classic BattleTech, you were playing literally 1 turn an hour. So you were getting to know people, that was fine, but there's so much charm to now having Alpha Strike as well. So you can choose what you want. If you want a one-on-one tournament, awesome. If you want to do lance on lance, classic BattleTech is made for that. But if you want to really, I want company on battalion, you can do it. If you've got the floor space, you can do it now.
Yeah. So without going into top secret stuff, what's something that came up from your play of Aces that really stands out, that was like, wow, this is really great? What's your favorite part?
How smart the system is. Dylan Bertolo, one of my favorite designers in the world, Josh Derrickson, the guys are brilliant. And when you combine that with the BattleTech team, it is just stunning. There has not been a situation yet, and I've played several iterations of the game, where the cards did something stupid. They don't. The enemy always is pretty smart. It doesn't always appear to be early on in the game. It seems like, why is it prioritizing going into cover, or what are we looking at for our purposes right there? There's a lot of great thought process that goes into there, and it doesn't play, it plays like a human opponent. It is so fascinating, and it constantly surprises me. Even computer games that I play with their AI and with their opponent systems right there don't always act as naturally as this card system does. So I'm really excited about it, and the most important thing that I think people are going to take away, and this is important from the organized play of my personal duties right there, is I've never played a game yet of Aces that I didn't learn something from, or I didn't enjoy for some reason. And we're talking a lot of playtesting that I've done.
Good deal. All right, Jose, you had something?
Yeah. So, Michael, that you at Gen Com last year, did you go by the WolfNet 350 format? Did
I
you see
did
their Alpha
indeed.
Strike? Yeah, because that's
Yes.
one format that all four of us have participated in a couple of times. So we kind of like the fact that you build an army for 350 points and then you pare it down to 250 and go at it.
Well, one of the things that I love right there, I know the Krolls and the rest of the WolfNet team very, very well. I was on one of their podcasts a short time ago. But they are great. They've really developed something amazing with the 350 format, and it's something that, for the purposes of the Catalyst demo team, we're using more. We're working with them. There are so many fascinating formats, both that we've developed and that some of the fantastic teams and affiliated groups have made. But no, we have seen just WolfNet's 350 system blowing up there, and it's been so much fun. I know we're getting prepped for Adepticon right now. They will be there to put on some 350 goodness, and we just keep selling out. We're in the process of putting even more events up now, because we sold out of everything in the first 6 minutes, even though we were an even larger footprint than last year. But we're still getting more space since it's going to be a larger building this year, and we're going to sell all of that out too.
Excellent.
Hey, Michael. All right, I want to just go back to you talking about the aces. I am the group's tactical expert, so to speak, in games, especially large games.
Human TRO.
Yeah, exactly. That's my automatic SPA skill, no matter what the game. My question to you is you've played the aces, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you ever felt that maybe that the aces system is a little bit too smart?
Not necessarily. It may not be. One of the things that I can't really tell, and that's why we've got so many different people of different skill levels going through, is does it level up with the player?
I can give you feedback on that.
And that's going to be one of the challenges that we're looking at. Now, I'm a fairly good BattleTech player myself. All modesty aside and things right there. So I feel very, very comfortable with the system. Anytime it's gotten or come close to getting the better of me, that's more of a me thing. Maybe I'm distracted. Maybe I'm forgetting that this is really a serious game I'm playing right here. But I don't know for sure how it levels up with newer players.
Okay.
Granted, the beautiful thing there is the system has no ego. So if you are not doing well in the game and you want to restart your mission or you want to try a new scenario, the card deck is never going to point and laugh at you. It is a great option, especially for those who may not have a big player group in the area or don't get to play with people very often. I'm very blessed to reach out to agents and players in a lot of different countries. And one of the things I hear from our fantastic Australian contingent is my nearest player is 3 hours away. We play online, we play virtual tabletop, we play a lot of different ways, but he doesn't get to get the minis on the table. With something like Aces, he will have that opportunity.
Well, I'll tell you right now, when I got a chance to see Aces and play test it a little bit, I was very shocked on how much it almost mimicked my own tactics. So I gotta say that Aces in itself is a great tool for a player to learn not only tactics and strategies, but also learn rules. As long as the players play fair, and if the ace unit shoots and takes out your Warhammer, then hasta luego, it's gone. You just pick up the next game and just play on. But I found that Aces, by far, is the best AI system out there versus then playing on a computer system, because they actually act like they got a brain.
I completely agree.
It's not like it's just walking out in the middle and just go, okay, don't shoot me. It's really move the unit to this, shoot at this target, and vice versa. I really love the system, and I really think that if a player's having a hard time winning games, if that's what they're more truly about, Aces is a good way to for them to learn how to play the game more efficiently and better. Exactly. So it's a good system, dude. For me, I've been playing BattleTech since 1992, and I love Aces because of what it is and what it can do.
Well, a key thing, and once again, one of the blessings in my duties with Catalyst is working on organized play, which is always one of the coolest aspects of any gaming system, but at that same point, one of the most difficult. The thing that we're looking at right here is this is a game changer from many standpoints, but the core important thing for any organized play system is, am I getting the game out of the box? Am I playing it today? Am I bringing over friends to play, or am I playing with the AI system? This is a great way to get away from, I don't have time to play today, or I don't have the opportunity, I don't have anybody to play with. The answer to that is you can leave the game out. You can reset the game at any point. It's like having a chessboard that you leave on your on your desk, which, when you can see the bottom of my desk, is usually how I do things. But if you don't have the time right now, you can definitely recover and play at any point, and there's a lot of charm to that.
Yeah, just keep the cat out of the room so it doesn't knock all your stuff over. Or the kids, they start hitting things. So I got a question going back to the WolfNet 350. Got kind of a two-parter here. So what does your 350 army look like? And is there any talk about possibly making 350 kind of the standard for organized play at all?
Ooh, we're not pulling any punches today. We got this. No, great questions, and ones that I get regularly. My 350 force list, without going into too many secrets, as I may be playing against you all at some point, it's going to probably look a lot like Ron's. We've got a lot of Republic units right there. We've got, everybody knows I'm a huge Republic of the Sphere fan. I am having quite a little fun with the new Star League, obviously, as you see what I write. And I'm definitely developing things there. But usually I've got some big bruisers. I like having an eclectic mix of some mechs and some vehicles that are a little bit faster. You won't find too much infantry in my list. They have their purpose, but just where we are right now, it depends on the type of group that I'm playing against. But I've been one of my regular players who I play against likes to bring lots of infantry, and after years and years of after years and years of MechWarrior Dark Age, which I loved, my infantry combined arms feeling on the tabletop, it's special. It's a little niche for me. To answer question 2, the 350 and its status with things. It was already it is a vital part of the Catalyst demo team set of rules right now. It's always hard to say there's one event or there's one official blah-de-blah, because especially when you've got a really good system like 350, people have a tendency to modify it, change it between groups to groups. So we're working with the team there to bring it to more of our major conventions. It is already a part of what CDT does, and once again, the developers are all demo agents as well, aside from just being great people. So we're going to be seeing it at most of our conventions coming up. Whether that will take the place of something else that we have, such as the BattleTech Command Circuit.
I wanted to do that. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Michael. My apology.
No worries. But no, that's whether it will replace anything else, not necessarily. But I always like to say that we've got a few events that we created, but we don't see as much anymore. So it's going to mostly focus on the popularity of the events. 350 is hot. 350 is super popular. It sells out probably faster than most of the games that we've got out there that aren't super specialty. Masters and Minions is always going to sign out. No matter how much money you put it for, it's going to sell out every Gen Con instantly. BattleTech Open, huge stuff. Stellaris Melee Challenge, which is one of my favorites of all time. I wish we could do more with it on a regular basis. Those will sell out very, very quickly. But there are also a few different systems that we're going back to, we're reviewing, seeing what we're looking at, and we've got demo team members who are constantly developing new and cool things. The other important thing to remember is so many of our demo team members, as they really start creating all this stuff, they start getting closer to the Catalyst Game Labs developers, and they may be asked to become freelancers and work on these things right there. I know half a dozen agents off the top of my head right now that are working on future BattleTech products and BattleTech connected items, which makes it a little tough for me to use them on a bunch of different things, but you'll see their names up in lights, and they're helping to create these fantastic games like Aces that we can put out on the table for our fans to enjoy.
I got a question for you, Michael. I again apologize for cutting in the middle. I forgot I was hot mic'd. My question for you is this. You played Alpha Strike, correct?
Many times.
Okay. Are you familiar with the SPA skills?
Yes.
Do you think that the SPA skills would be any way unfair in an a WolfNet 350 game?
Unfair? No. Would it change some of the dynamics of things in interesting ways? Potentially. One of the troubles with the SPAs is the same problem you have with when we've tried them in classic BattleTech and a few of the other things right there. Sometimes they can be not game breaking, but scenario shifting to a point where it gets a little interesting. I think back to the WizKids era, and if you'll all allow me to be salty for a minute there.
Please do.
I was at Gen Con. I was in the finals for the medium championships when the Solaris box sets were coming out, and I had my force was great. I knocked everybody out. I was in the final round, and there was a misprint, not a misprint on the card, but the wording of the card allowed my opponent to repair every action instead of every turn. Now, everybody in the world knew what this card was really trying to say. It did not say that specifically, but the judge who was there at the time read it differently. So every time I hit this guy, he'd repair, both on my turn and their turn. Now they immediately nerfed that. Oh yeah, they immediately nerfed that 2 seconds later, but they let it hold during that tournament. So that made me a little salty right there. But it's stuff like that. That's when I think of pilot abilities being sometimes throwing things off. It's adding another layer of complication, which I think this game does very well. We just really need to delve into the SPAs and see, hey, does this work in all various breakdowns? So I see what you're saying, and I definitely would like to see it, because I think pilot abilities are a cool, not fully tapped area that we've tried right now. If you ask some people, look at the last 6 source books we put out. Nearly all the units have got SPAs or special unity abilities right there. Are people using them? I know a lot of people who do. Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, as well they should.
We even in our large games, we play with SPA skills. I'm quite sure Ron told you about him taking his 19 striker cluster against my own mercenary company in a campaign fight. We had SPA skills, and it really didn't add too much. Crazy. The worst part is some players forget they have the SPA skill. Yes. That's the problem. So I tell people, hey, simply write the SPA skill on the unit card. You look at the card to see how much damage you do. Look at the card to see what your skill level is. So why not see it on the card with the unit saying, hey, you have sniper ability or you have range master on this card unit. You know, and I think that's the biggest problem is players just don't remember they had the SPA skill to begin with.
And that's, speaking of the most common offender right there, Edge. When we do the the Blood Name tournaments every year, especially the big ones at Gen Con, where everything's pre-painted, every sheet, some of them we've added SPAs on to equal out some of the units. that we may not, that to keep them all new and different. People forget that they've got these special abilities, or they forget that they have edge. It's one of the it's one of the most common things in the world. I've gone through tournaments and I completely forgot I had edge for the last two rounds of the tournament that have gone on for 2 hours, because sometimes we're not used to it. But the SPAs are an amazing tool, and anything that adds to the richness of the BattleTech gaming experience is good for me. I'm one of the people who jokes all the time of, I want all the box sets. I want to play Battlespace to get into the system. Then I want to play Aerotech to get down onto the ground. And then I want to play BattleTech and Alpha Strike.
We've been talking about trying to figure out a way to do that. And we've even looked at the, what was the board game that we were playing? With the full
Successor Wars.
Yes,
Successor Wars.
Yes.
Somehow to integrate that into an Alpha Strike, landing phase, and then do your campaign from there. But I haven't gotten past the brainchild part of it.
Well, if you really want to jump through, I want to say it was Campaign Operation, which is part of the Total Warfare set of books. And it literally, it's got Inner Sphere at War, which kind of gives you the full breakdown of things. But it also gives you the step-by-step of, if you wanted to do this, how you would do A to B to C. And it is very cool. Not to mention, since you mentioned the glory that is the Succession Wars, as we all know, and I know it's been out there a little bit, Randall Bills has been playing around with a Succession Wars successor that hopefully we will be seeing sooner rather than later. I've had the pleasure of playing it. I know some of our Kerensky backers and things have shown it off at various Kerensky cons. It is so cool. It takes all of the joy of Succession Wars, which is one of my favorite games, and just makes it even richer. It is so much fun. I can't wait to see it out there. And that's the fan of 4X games and all the goodness that comes through.
Our group, we have that game, and we have a load of fun playing it. It is really it's BattleTech, but it's not crunchy mechs. It's not a bunch. It's moving counters on the map and trying to take over star systems and stuff. It's a load of fun. It's like playing like a good old game of Axis and Allies, pretty much, and that's why we like it.
With lots of backstabbing.
Oh yeah,
with lots of backstabbing, right up there with diplomacy and ending friendships, right there. But that's the great thing about the BattleTech universe. I have played many I've played all of the BattleTech games and all of the variations, but BattleTech Encounters that Kirtley put out, fantastic. A great game, especially as an appetizer when everybody's starting to get come over here. That comes into really nice campaign form. The old BattleTech CCG, which was a lot of fun. Once again, I think back to the computer games. Some of my favorite games in the world. I loved Harebrained Schemes BattleTech. It was amazing. But at that same point, Mech Commander and Mech Commander 2. If I could get that to run on my computer right now, I would be playing that right now. While I'm talking to you, I'd be playing. Oh, I've got it working too. It's just by the time I do, there's always something that kind of just, I've now spent 3 hours getting it working. Can I really devote all this time when I have to finish all of these other games that I keep downloading?
Exactly.
All right, since I have to call you out on this, you missed the perfect opportunity to sit there and make Aaron and Andrew just absolutely scream, because the running gag, they always get confused. You should have had Ulrich call Aaron Andrew. That would have been priceless. And for those who don't know, I'm not going to say anything, but it's in the Trial of Birthright. Great book, by the way. Thank you. I really enjoyed reading that one a lot, as you see,
Once again, it's my love letter to the Republic of the Sphere as best as we can, right there.
Yeah, that was a good send-off.
I felt very good with what we can do. Once again, it'll never be everything that we want it to be. That's one of the biggest issues for me, being one of the novelists, but also being a super fan. It's the battles we have behind the closed doors right there of, well, we need to also remember this is BattleTech. It's not peace tech. Nobody's going to win in the end. Any victory you have right now may be overturned in the next book. You never know. But no, it is a ton of fun to be able to tell some great stories, and having the opportunity to wrap up some of the great characters and just put them into a new place. It's so much fun. We love or hate the Republic era. We went through it. We all went through it together, and it's now part of our collective history. And I always like to joke, you never know what things are going to look like in a couple of years. We went through the Jihad era, and in the grand scheme of things, that some people loathe that, some people still loathe it. But it's also one of the areas where they're clamoring for the most fiction right now. Once time moves on a little bit and we flesh things out, you never know.
Yeah, that's. Go ahead, Ron.
I think the fact that people are clamoring for the Jihad fiction is because we didn't really get that. It was more source book and news clips, and the chaos of it was making it very confusing. And it was jarring, but it was still, in a way, I think, done interesting. I didn't hate it that way. I enjoyed actually reading the articles and trying to put stuff together. The time jumping, they just had to push together, and it makes sense. But yeah, just on topic of writing, since we kind of went there, you know me, I've talked with you. I appreciate you. Still working on it, but just things are crazy right now, and I'm still going to get that there on. But appreciate everything you've done for me and sticking in my corner.
One of the greatest things I'm blessed about is I've been able to get people's writing in front of the people that need to see it. Yeah. I've got a dear friend. Before I came to Catalyst, I worked my own. I own my own little game company right there. I've worked with several others in the industry. I've got a few great writers who've come to me and said, "Hey, did you know I love BattleTech? Okay, write something." Shrapnel, once again, Phil Lee is one of the greatest human beings on earth, but John Helfers, the executive editor, wants to see more writing. Phil Lee, the editor of Shrapnel, he is this is the perfect opportunity. Someone was mentioning battle technology earlier today to me, and once again, these magazines, these are the stepping stones to get in, because it is not easy to write a novel. Every time you write a novel, you learn how to write a novel, and you get a little bit better, we hope, and we continue down on that road. But writing a good, solid short story, a great start. Writing a novella, a great start, and it's a great opportunity to learn and get into become a published author in the tie-in groups that you love.
Oh yeah. Speaking of writing, I mean, what is it that kind of inspires you? We talked a little bit with some of the other guys about, you know, kind of how they come up with their plan. You know, how have you been inspired to write your writings or get the projects that you get?
Every author is good at something. And so some of them are great at characterization. Some of them are great at broaching the various levels of some fantastic mech combat. And everybody's got a preference for a few different things. I have been very lucky because I love the space opera and the big cast of thousands, though we always joke, the Game of Thrones and space areas right there. I've been blessed to be able to work on some of the spy novels, some of the bigger items that jump from perspective to perspective. You still got some main characters, and you still create some good characters and use some good characters, but you read some BattleTech books, and it's the story of Mech Warrior Joe, who and his growth from Sibkin to Khan. Beautiful, and that's a great story, and it's amazing. At that same point, sometimes you need to do kind of what my my good friend Michael Stackpole does all the time with the Warrior trilogy. He needed to jump from story to story to story. You had the story of Gina Clay, you had the story of the Kells, you had all these different things. And while there's not enough time to really delve into them, or all the books will be 600 pages thick, it's a great way to get the story moving and to kind of broach that lovely step from source book to novel. I'm lucky that I've written some source books for BattleTech. I've written some novels for BattleTech, so I can play in any level. And if they've got a project and they're willing to give it to me, I could always find something fun to play with.
All right, I got a follow-up question. So what's your thought on Hungry Like the Wolf? Dropping the bomb.
I knew it was going to come. I knew it was going to come right there. Well, it wasn't too much of a bomb for me, for a multitude of reasons. Number one, I know all of the people who were involved in that major project. I know the podcaster whose picture started all of this all too well. I was one of the first 3 people he sent it to, so my rage at that will be will at some point make itself known all too well. But it's a great new opportunity to play in the universe right there. We've got a BattleTech romance novel is really a bunch of fun. And I was blessed because of the nature of the characters and the subject matter to have been in some of the conversations. I didn't do anything development-wise right there, but does this absolutely break any of the characters or break anything? No. It actually adds some fun little aspects to things. I know there's been a huge fight about, is it canon, is it not canon, is it...
Right.
The important thing is there's nothing in there that breaks anything that we're looking at. It gives you a different perspective on a whole bunch of things, and certainly adds a layer of depth to certain characters, including characters that nobody's going to like no matter what. You can't. We joked about this in the conversations with Trial of Birthright. You do not want to make Alaric Wolf or Alaric Ward likable. That's not fun. That's not fun for anybody. He is not going to be anyone's bestie. You can be your leader. He can be your the Wolf of Wolves. He can be the Ilkhan. All of that's fine. But he's done some pretty
naughty
terrible things.
Some naughty stuff.
Oh yeah, and not to mention there's always just the real life understanding of sometimes even the best characters, if you've got 16 to 30 books about them, get a little old. I lived through the Victor Steiner Davian Fedcom Civil War, and like I said, I've read every book that we put out right there. There was a time in the middle of there, as much as I love Victor, and where I remember him fondly. At that same point, it was getting a little bit old. Give me anybody else at this point. Let anyone else be the hero.
So in the back rooms, have we had any discussions of getting somebody who sounds sort of like Gilbert Godfrey to do the audio book for Hungry Like a Wolf?
That would be absolutely horrifyingly entertaining. There's only so meta on the meta you can go right there, is my personal opinion, though. You might risk, right now we're already at the meta level where, hey, is it canon? Is it not canon? Is this fun? Does this add to things? If we take it too far in that direction, I worry that we'll lose some of the people who are very much enjoying looking at it as, this is a really fascinating glimpse at a character that I might not think they have this depth to it. And once again, the concept... This was an interesting concept that we tried out, but it didn't break anything. Everything I'm hearing, and I speak to John Helfers, we meet once a week on a ton of projects. This is not front room or back room. I can confirm that it has not broken anything, and legitimately, I'd be very interested in seeing what might happen next. Not necessarily with the people in this particular story, but I hope that this is not the end of the BattleTech whatever. As one final point, I always like to toss it in, because we get a lot of people who say there are some BattleTech books that are terrible because they don't have mechs in it. No. There are some wild and out there BattleTech books that aren't really BattleTech books. One of my favorite in the world is Blood Avatar from the Mech Warrior Dark Age series. That is a great mystery. It is a little graphic for some people. It is, but it is a great mystery. But the only mech you see is on the back of a playing card, and it's not a real mech; it's just a picture of it. But still, nice. Great mystery, great story, fit beautifully into the world right there, and I've reread it many times. At that same point, do I think it's necessarily a BattleTech story? Or just a really nice story written in the BattleTech universe? It's very cool.
It's kind of like Star Wars, a Star Wars story as compared to, BattleTech. It's a BattleTech story.
Well, our country, going back even further right there, legitimately, it would have made an awesome Star Trek episode. If you'd sold this to me as a Star Trek book, especially one of the original series, original run Star Trek books, I would not hiccup even slightly. Now, as a BattleTech book, it's got mechs in it. Does it really? Do I think of it as super canon? Not necessarily. But I don't have to.
All right, you're gonna hate me. Is this what Chance is upset about with Ulrich? Hungry like a wolf. Is that her chip on the shoulder now?
You were asking that question before that book even came out, so that's entertaining. Chance has got a lot of chips on her shoulder right
He
now.
does.
This certainly, once again, this adds to that nice new level to it. And I actually have had quite a few people message me and go, this adds to what I'm thinking. I am hesitant to say that this is a big factor. The bigger item right there is Ulrich has been keeping all the power to himself. He's the Ilkhan. He's the Khan of the Wolves. He's the First Lord of the Star League. And he's not doing all of these things terribly well. Because you can't be leader of 3 massive, massive things and still retain the level of control that you want to hold right there. Chance very much thought she was going to be the next Khan of the Wolves. Still subordinate to Alaric. That's very fair. But she was not expecting this to roll out as it has. Not to mention, every time he brings someone in or shares that trust with others, it's a little bit of a poke to her. We joke a lot about how Chance has changed from the very first book she was in. She was very almost quiet, mousy. She was a good warrior, but she was not power hungry in any way. But she's also been close enough to the throne to see this is getting a little weird. What is Alaric doing? And we joke all the time. The secret tagline of Trial of Birthright, it's what if you created a Star League and nobody came? Or Alaric is the dog that caught the car. What do you do now?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've got a Star League. I'm the Ilkhan. I can do all of this. That's great. Now, what do you do next?
Now what? Yeah.
And now what? Which is a great place for a series to be at right now, because now everything's over. You're looking back at the entire inner sphere in a way that anything can happen. Once again, you think about years ago when you couldn't dive into, it'd be years before you'd gotten a new Free Worlds League novel. Phil Lee is cranking them out right now. The Free Worlds League has been is well been represented. I've hit Damocles sanction, so we've touched on the beauty of the Federated Suns and the Draconis Combine. I haven't gotten back to the Lyrans yet, but that's going to be interesting. And Lao, you will see very, very shortly. So lots of goodness there.
Jose, you had a question?
I got a couple questions for you. Yeah,
Go for it.
I have questions for you, Michael. First of all, I'm glad that the Jihad happened because it makes my Caridans look good. Now, they're not the only ones that ever nuked the planets before. One, two.
Better in comparison, I should say.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But even though they're still the second sort of light from my units are still kind of like, a little iffy. But we just recently had a game using the Dragon Roars. That was Bradley into it. Myself, Randall, and another guy. We were running the Caridan forces. I had the 8th Sword of Light, and Bradley and 2 others were running.
Beta Galaxy.
I don't know if Jade Falcons.
No,
Yeah,
we're Smoke
okay.
Jaguars, Beta Galaxy.
Yeah, and this is the first time I ever forced Bradley to retreat from a force that I was running. First time ever. But I thought it was good. It's true, Bradley. You know it. You know it. It was fun,
Michael,
and I was wondering.
What he's referencing to is the Roar of the Dragons, the battle force in the back. We decided to convert it into Alpha Strike, so there was 94 Interspear mechs versus less than 55 clan mechs. So that's why I ran.
There should be.
Hey,
And wide open spaces in the middle. That was a shooting gallery.
Did your commander not die though, Jose?
Oh,
Yeah.
And that forced the victory to Smoke Jaguars because you got one of your commanders. Uh-oh.
yep. I got
we got one of their
50% of the force
commanders.
off the board. No, you didn't.
No, we didn't get
Yeah,
any
we
of the
did.
commanders.
Steven's commander, that he was in the
Right, but that wasn't the
Gladiator.
objective, though. That wasn't the objective for them, though. We were obligated to kill all of them, and they had to get off board with 50% and try to kill our command force, our command lances.
It was a minor victory. It wasn't a major victory. It was
Yeah.
a minor victory.
Still a victory though.
It was a periodic
Any
victory.
force, as far as I'm
Yes.
concerned, any force that retreats is the losing force. That's all.
You live to fight another day. That's what it is.
Absolute.
Well, the key thing right there is this is a game you're going to remember. That goes back to the organized play thought process. Sometimes I get a lot of people asking, oh, well, why would I pull out my fourth Succession War book to redo this scenario? If you're having fun with it, do it. Sometimes it gives you a different perspective. We sometimes forget very, very easily. Some people get very focused on a certain era in BattleTech, but we sometimes forget what it was like in 1984, in 1990, when you didn't have clan tech, really. You know, I'm going to overheat by firing one of my two weapons. It happened. And it gives a
nostalgia
very
is
different
pretty nice.
dynamic. Oh, yes.
Well, Michael, I got a question for you. You're talking about errors, okay? You as a writer, do you have a preferred error that you like to talk about by chance?
To talk about, I love talking about all of the errors. To write in at the moment, we get just by the impetus of the business right there, very, very focused on some of the errors that we need to work on right now. Most of us are very, very focused on the Ill Clan era because that's what we need to do, and it's very hard sometimes to keep multiple things in your mind. Toughest thing for being a writer in tie-in fiction, especially once you get a certain level of access, is did I come up with this idea? Was I told this idea? And is this canon? One of the funniest things that happens all the time with Ray Arasti, the line developer, and I, is that we'll message each other on Discord and go, is that really a thing? Did I just make that up in a dream? Is this canon? And he'll go, yeah, sure, I don't remember it, but yeah, let's do that. Oh, and then suddenly something is canon, and we need to remember to put it in the source book. But I do very much I love the Republic era. I love the Dark Age. It was because that's where I started writing. I'm very much focused on the Ill Clan era, but I'd love to see more of the original Star League era. That era fascinates me. The Word of Blake era, I'm very curious about. I'll write something during some of the Succession Wars and the FedCom Civil War, but a lot of those areas have been well delved into at the time. You see how things dive in and out for our purposes of sometimes, exactly as we said when we were talking about the Word of Blake eras right there. There was one novel that came out in 6-7 real life years, and we put out 6 source books. Conversely, we've had years where 5 novels have come out and 1 source book. We've lived through all of the real life stuff, and it gives a very different feel to certain eras.
I would love to see an Age of War novel that kind of explains, to a degree, how the Star League truly formed. The chaos that started it, and then, of course, almost the iron fist that Star League had to put in to make sure that there was peace. Because I love looking at the older stuff, and I do filters on Master Unit List. So throw that to your guys.
Well, Well, I would like, when we talk about things that I would love to write that I'll probably never get the opportunity to write, I'd love to write the definitive history of the Camerons right there. I'd love to go through, and once again, the Star League FASA book is one of the best ones that ever came out previous to the CGL era right there. And it's got all these fun little aspects. I'd love to delve into the early Star, once again, end of the Age of War into the Star League era right there. Just the politics, all the various aspects there. It would be fascinating, especially as we've started putting some of the books out in the leather-bound, the Svepa. I would love to do that. Give me a trilogy to stick at the end of the Age of War, and I think that would be so much fun. Now, any other authors who are looking at that? Me, guy. Nobody else gets to feel that. John Helpers, and the paging John Helpers.
Yeah, go for it. It's all yours. I feel bad for this. I don't know what your first work was for any of the novels or fiction or anything like that. You said you joined the Dark Age.
The first novel that I did was Grey Watch Protocol.
Okay,
the first two Highlander Covenant books right there, which is technically a Dark Age novel. It comes right before the Ill Clan.
I do know what it is then. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like,
no, it's not under. No, you're good. It wasn't under the Mech Warrior Dark Age.
Gotcha.
List that had ended officially. But once again, it was one of the questions that Catalyst had to work with right there of how do we broach where we ended? Because also, for a little real-life delve right there, when WizKids stopped doing the BattleTech Mech Warrior stuff, they still had about 5 or 6 books in the can. That did come out. But we got the announcement of, hey, all this line is transferring over to CGL, but then there were 5 more books that came out through Tor. I believe it was Tor at the time, the publishing company. And it was just, some of it was stories that glad to be told, but didn't really move things forward because they didn't know what was going to be canon, what was not going to be canon. How were we going to treat all of this? Once again, we look back at some of these decisions and go, this makes sense, or I like this, or I didn't like this. But at the time, especially when you've got real life businessy things jumping in there, you don't know how this may turn out. It all may not be canon tomorrow. Luckily, the stewards of the line have not do a very nice job here, and we don't have to worry about that. But hopefully, it's not the Star Wars extended universe where you've got all these fantastic books and then they're not.
Yeah, and then they get wiped out.
Yeah.
I'm still upset that they dropped them. I'm still upset they dropped a moon on Chewbacca.
Well, you look back at I've read, as my passions of all the various things, I've read all the Star Wars novels, all the Star Trek novels, and I love some of the older stuff that, once again, new stuff will occasionally change it and impress it and change, but there's also some great stuff in there that I don't want to lose. I'm thrilled to see Thrawn. I'd love to see the Black Fleet trilogy show back up again. That was some nice, fun stuff. But yeah, so many good opportunities.
Well, my question to you is this: do you think that with some of the novels out there, do you think that maybe writers are missing some other aspects of the BattleTech universe? And what I mean by that is warships, aerospace fighters, dropship crews. Do you think there ever will be a time where the writers are going to go, hey, let's go to this aspects of BattleTech and talk about this type of life? Because in the Twilight of the Clans, I loved not only reading the books about the actual battles on the planet, but the Battle of Trafalgar was by far one of the best.
Yep. I think that when you talking about Twilight of the Clans, I think about The Hunters, which had some of the most nicely done battleship scenes, warship scenes that had come out at that point. I'd love to. I definitely think we'll be delving more into that. I know we're doing some Snow Raven stuff. I know we'll be playing around in that area. The problem is it's a matter of scope, and it's a matter of which projects take precedence. It takes quite a while to create a novel, and especially when it's a tie-in novel for such a hardcore universe, You've got fact check. You've got all of these various things, and it slows down the process. If we get one novel done a year per author, that's great. And that doesn't even count the dozens of things that pop up. I'm very, very blessed to write BattleTech novels, but I also write Shadowrun stuff. I'm working on Leviathan stuff. I'm working on some projects we can't even talk about at the moment. And one of the reasons why Trial of Birthright, I'd gotten that book 2 years before. The author who was doing it couldn't have, his schedule got busy, so I took over that one and postponed my next novel. But at that same point, it's you start running through and going, hey, I don't know what's the priority. When I talk to John Helfers each week, it's did something else displace what I'm working on right now? And sometimes the answer is yes. I had to stop everything I was doing when the BattleTech Mercenaries box was being developed because I had to write the short story that went inside. Now, I'm very happy to do that, but sometimes jumping out of one story can kind of shift what you're doing. And if you're changing entire lines, that's even more troublesome. But to answer your question, I definitely think we'll see warships. I definitely think we'll see infantry, tank commanders. A lot of that we're going to see in Shrapnel before anything else, because that's the perfect place to see if there's interest.
Yeah, good test bed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing. You never know. What could be awesome? I go back to the Blood Avatar theory. Great book. I had 3 copies over the years because I kept reading the cover right off of it. But at that same point, we need to see, is that going to appeal to a good section of our fans? Or is this going to be, when we're focusing on this, is this exactly what we need to do? Sometimes the fun out there stuff is great, but you also need to keep doing the priority thing as well.
And also, like, you do get a chance to sit down and play the games, Alpha Striker Classic. At any point, do you see something that happens in the game and you go, oh, this would be so badass if I could write this in a novel? Do you ever come across that?
All the time. And on an organized play level, I joke I joke very, very often, and I love telling this story, so I will tell this one. One night when I was, I'm here in upstate New York, there's one of the longest running BattleTech groups. It was 7 years running, had their own mercenary campaign going, and these guys, I started hanging out with them, and this is before I worked for Catalyst or did anything there. I was much younger at the time, and they said one day, what are you doing on Saturday? I said, doing nothing. What do you want to do? You want to come play BattleTech? Yes, I do. Said, well, we're going to pick you up from your house. So I was in an apartment at the time, but out comes a black van, pulls up in front of my house. The guys have me say, get in. I get into the black van, and we just start driving.
It
now,
had
I don't know.
3 mechs on the side, right?
Free candy and mechs. No, we go and we start driving, and I swear we could have crossed state lines. It's raining out, it's gray, and we pull up in front of a game store that is closed. Literally it's a little shopping center, one of those like 2-store shopping centers, one of which is an insurance company. Both places are closed. It's Saturday, it's raining. We go up, they knock on the door, and apparently do the secret knock, and the owner opens the door and brings us in. Now, the store is empty, locked, and dark, and there's like 6 of us, all relatively big guys, walking down through. He takes us to the basement. Now, I'm quite sure I'm going to get murdered. So this is very, very likely, but down here it is well lit up. And the first thing I see is a massive diorama of a bridge. Got to be 4 8x8 tables of a massive battlefield. Battle mechs all over the place. And they say, okay, we're going to play BattleTech. That's great. Till they hand me a record sheet for a mech I've never seen before. It was a Legionnaire. And this is at a time when the Legionnaire wasn't a thing yet. So I look around and I'm going, what the heck is this? What is some of these? What is this Rack 5 nonsense right there? I know what the Rack was, but I didn't know what this mech was. Is this some guy's homebrew game? And then I look up, and in one of the darkened corners is the line developer for the line at the time. I will not mention which line developer it was. And he goes, shut up and play the game. And so we play. And once again, this went on for like 5 hours. And mysteriously, to get back to our story right there, I had a Wraith that jumped onto a bridge, got shot down off the bridge, smashed through the bridge, and into the water. So it fell. It missed its piloting holes. It smashed through the bridge, and it went into the water. And you can now see in one of the source books, it's mentioned about a unknown Wraith pilot who absolutely whiffed and went right into the water right there. That's what we love. These fun little moments that you can write into canon, and I'll always look back at it and I'll smile and go, that's my first mention in the BattleTech universe. Not necessarily what you want it to be, but it's good. I always joke about the Solaris Melee Challenge. A guy is playing, he played 3 days of a 4-day event. He's starting the new day, he runs, flips on Ferrocrete, crashes into his center torso, 3 engine crits, destroys him. All he did was just run forward. The guy smiles, stands up, walks away. We never see him again. I don't think he ever played BattleTech ever again. And I don't blame him.
For those banana peels.
Yeah, no, he'd been doing. I seem to remember he's in like 3rd or 4th place with still a full day to go. He was doing great, but no, up, boom, crashed. I think his pilot was actually still alive. Nope. Even the pilot walked off and said, nope, I don't do this anymore. Done.
I mean, it's definitely good when you can turn around and see something and put it into a novel and make it happen. And you're like, oh, I remember doing this and I remember the outcome. And then, you hear from people like me, Ron, and all of us that, hey, man, we read this, and we loved it. Like one of my biggest takes from Wolves on the Border was when they were talking about trying to hit a prototype that they were trying to get that was caught and taken. And the Wolf Dragoons was like, well, let's take all of our jump units and put them into one big force and go after this thing. And I took that right out of that book and built one of my Davian Guard units has a full jump battalion. Just simply because I read about it in that book, and it's never failed me. I love having that aspects.
And that's exactly the thing. There's nothing more fun from a writer's perspective than I know how this battle is supposed to end, or I know how I need it to end, but let me play this on the table. Mike Stackpole, myself, Brian Young, if we get the time, we love to play out these games because it's a great idea. And sometimes it'll even tell you, hey, this is what I need to adjust. I've had many times where this unit isn't fast enough to get around this corner as fast as I need it to. Greywatch Protocol and Paid in Blood with the Highlanders. There was one scene that was supposed to be a duel between 2 mechs. It just didn't work with 2 mechs. It had to become lance on lance, and I learned that by playing out the game. There's also the fun aspect of, Ron, were you at last year's Gen Con?
Yeah, last year.
I thought so, because I think you were standing like 3 feet from me, and it was day 3 when I looked down at the gorgeous diorama that we have in the booth right there, and I'm trying to figure out what battle that was. And everybody's looking at me like I'm an absolute moron because it was out of Damocles' Sanction. It was out of the book that I had just finished. It was my book, but I did not. There were so many mechs on the field. I'm like, I don't remember this scene. What book is this out of? Wait a second.
With it, by the way.
Oh, thank you. But no, it took me literally the first 2 days I didn't think about it because I was running around and doing businessy stuff. But at that same point, I'm just looking at it on the 3rd day and going, I should know what this is. I'm pretty good at these things. I should know what this is. And then it turned out I really should have known what that was.
Yeah, that was the fun part when you actually realized it was your own.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of swearing at that booth at that point. It was...
It was comical.
I was really pissed at myself. It was very funny.
So where would you recommend people start with the novels? What's your line?
I always, once again, I'd like to at some point have an introductory novel that does a little bit of everything. My 2 are both by Mike Stackpole. I would recommend the Warrior Trilogy if you just want to really dive in from the very beginning. Grey Death Trilogy is fantastic, but it is a little focused on things a little too tightly, and I don't think you get all of our galactic massiveness as well as Mike did with the Warrior Trilogy, or conversely, Ghost War. If you can get your head around the BattleTech thought process, Ghost War, for the time that it came out, it really did a nice job of providing a little mystery, a little BattleTech battles, a little good characterization. It was a nice place to start. Now, I know people are a little hesitant to start in the Dark Age era because there is so much that comes before and after, but that comes probably closest to my goal of a nice introductory book. We try to do some books that'll be a nice place for new readers to start, because once again, it can be a little daunting to be looking back at 40 years of BattleTech novels and 200 and something novels worth of stuff, but we're also at a point in the universe where it's a little difficult to kind of do the full on-ramp novel that you're looking at. That's why I'm so blessed that we have the BattleTech Universe book, so we actually have the opportunity to go through and look. And that leads me to another fun point. My mother got a copy of BattleTech Universe a month and a half ago, because she keeps trying to read my novels, but she's not a science fiction fan. She doesn't know that. So every night she reads a little bit more of the BattleTech Universe book, and she asks me questions. And we do that on video chat every single night. And it is probably one of the coolest things in my life. When my mother was going through planetary invasions yesterday, and it was never a conversation I thought I would have with my mother.
Yeah, we're probably about the same age, so I can't imagine my mother having a conversation like that with me.
I cannot imagine it either, but she really has delved in, and once again, she doesn't get all of it, but she's got a good. We were talking about mercenaries last night, and once again, we're taking it step by step. She's got some good and thoughtful questions, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really did like getting my hands on Ill Clan and going to see. I'm an avid Jade Falcon player. I love my Falcon Guards, and when I heard that they got crushed, I was like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" Then when I saw them being resurrected inside of Ill Clan, I immediately went to the back of the page where it talked about him and saw how to build it according to rules that were in the back of that book, and I actually like the force that came out from that. So I really like the source books. So my question to you is, do you like doing source books more because you know players are going to read it and play with it, or do you like to write more of the novels?
I like to do the novel. I love, they're both good for what they do. I like doing the novels because I can tell a little bit more of the story instead of just giving some of the facts and things. We're in an industry where it's really cool that we can do source books to kind of explain things, or to do kind of what we did in the Word of Blake era and kind of, we're giving drips and drabs of a lot of unreliable narrators. We don't know what actually happened. Whereas a novel, it's usually a little more straightforward. I love to do the novel because I can really delve in and show the reasons why things happen. That's not usually easy to do in a source book without kind of just coming across as, why did this happen? Well, because the designers decided it that way. No. I'd rather give you the fun thought process of, why are we here?
I mean, I wasn't trying to catch you off guard or anything like that. You know, I just a little bit that I like to read the novels, and I look forward to source books because source books allows me to dive in directly into line units. I like to read about what this regiment is doing, or what this regiment is going to have, or this cluster could possibly have. You know, I like that because I can translate that right into the game and play it on a table.
And that's where your focus is, and that's absolutely great. Once again, that's the cool thing about it. I like that too. I want to know what the Knights of St. Cameron are doing, even though we don't have a Knights of St. Cameron novel. That's where source books are really, really important. And once again, new units come, new units go. Sometimes you create a new unit that you don't think about it for years at a time. The Dawn Guards,
yes.
big factor on things right there, but I haven't thought about the Dawn Guards in nearly 6 months. but it'll come back again. Or you look at some of the classic units right there. What are the Davian Assault Guards doing today? Are they still in existence? I know the answer to that, but once again, we're also building all these units. Some come, some go. You never know what you're looking at. But that source books fill a very, very vital aspect of our hobby and of the game, and I do love it.
All right, Jose, had a question.
You got a question? Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, do you know if they're going to fix the mercenary listing and the master unit list? I know Catalyst has some say in that, and the mercenary unit list for the Ill Clan era says every mech unit. Kind of like they can have anything that's active in that era, clan or inner sphere. I'm just kind of like, oh, good God. We play mercenary. We have a mercenary campaign that Randall wrote, streamlining the rules of the Commander's Edition for Alpha Strike. And if we were to fight an era, I would expect Bradley to bring everything under the sun that the clan could have his Davian guards, because he could do it, And I think that's one of the things, items that needs to be looked into. That's just me being picky.
Not picky at all.
I love having you on here. Enjoy your reads. I'm currently reading your latest one. Started it the other night. It's difficult sometimes for me to get enough time to read because I'm in front of a computer, working on a computer all day. So it's like, no, I don't want to read right now. But I am enjoying
that feeling very well.
Let's see. Who was Toranaga? What a character. I totally love him. And I totally love him that his own faction, Kurita, betrayed him.
No spoilers, man. No spoilers.
Yeah, read the book already. It's been out for a while. Come on. Give me a break.
Well, Toranaga has been one of those characters who people just rave about. Once again, I did not develop Toranaga. He'd been in the Dark Age a little earlier, but I really got to delve in a little bit more in Damocles Sanction. But no, I've gotten a wonderful response back from that. And once again, he did so well that you see other authors have jumped in too. Craig Reed had him in Shadow of the Dragon that just came out recently as well too. Sometimes you find these characters who played a part but have so much more story to tell, and it is just an honor to be able to do that. To answer your MUL question right there, we are always working on the MUL, right up there with fact check for some of the most thankful jobs, aside from line developers, fact check, and up there for really, really tough jobs is the MUL developers, because there is so much there. Plus, exactly as you said, we're getting to that point in the game and the history where everything is, we don't say that there's really something missing. Will a Mercury appear on the battlefield? Maybe. But nobody's really making Mercuries anymore. It's once again, you can bring anything to the field that you want, but one of the tricks is, what can we make the MUL, or when we do the random access tables right there, what is more likely to show up in this faction? So, I'm not sure how the MUL will be updated. I do know we've got a fantastic team working on it right now, night and day. It has been quite the factor for focus right there for everyone. But I don't have too much information about that one yet.
All right. So we're going to ask one follow-up question real quick. Or not a follow-up, but just a quick question. You said you had some juicy secret stuff that you could actually share with us new. Did I miss that when I had to step out for a bit? I don't know.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, we were talking... Well, I try to, with every one of my various podcasts and things, give you a little bit of new stuff as we were playing around for the most recent book and everything else. Part of it, you get the first one. You actually brought it up yourself, is how much of Chance Vickers is being the out hungry like the wolf connection right there. What is her feelings that we're looking at right there? Another fascinating aspect that hasn't been on a lot of the podcasts now that things have forward a little bit more right now. Exactly, you talked about certain people who were in the book, real life people who showed up right there. That was involved in a bet that had occurred at a Gen Con, actually at a Alpha Strike 350 event. One of the developers at the time made an ill-decided bet and lost. So we got involved. Oh yes, a lot of alcohol involved. So a character who died off screen maybe got a second chance at life, which was wonderful. I also, I'm not sure if that one had gotten out there yet. There may be. It is looking very likely that there will be a missing chapter from Trial of Birthright. Will hopefully make an appearance in a future Shrapnel.
Very cool.
That we're looking at. As everybody knows, because of just how the schedule of things sometimes goes, you need to rush, and sometimes things are left on the cutting room floor. We are very blessed in the BattleTech world right now, thanks to Shrapnel, to be able to occasionally rescue some of those things. There was one scene that just would not have made it into time for production, but after consulting with some of the other authors and making sure it didn't break anything terribly, hopefully we can get that in. And who knows, it may even show its way into the main book for reprints in the future. So
sounds good.
Keep your eyes open.
I will. Any more of Easton Canto by chance?
Oh, Easton will probably be making an appearance in the future.
Good.
I can see that almost completely confirmed. I don't know if any other authors are doing things, but he's at least going to make a pop in a future item. He, much like Toranaga, you always, as an author, it's always wonderful when you have a character that just catches people's imagination, and I want to see more of so and so.
Yeah, I want to commission art of him painting miniatures.
Oh, so do I. No, that's actually
that scene right there just caught me. It's like, that is just so BattleTech, as you have an elemental painting miniatures. I can imagine what it looks like. Sorry, spoilers, but I absolutely love that scene so much.
You've actually raised a really good point there. I may need to make that little note myself. We got to work with our art direction team to see who's taking commissions right now. That's actually a really, really great idea. That would be a really, really cool picture.
Yeah, Easton Cantos just like spoke to me in that book. I don't know what about it, but I'm a Smoke Jaguar fan, and just having the Smoke Jaguars back, coming in life like that, he just rang Smoke Jaguars, the new Smoke Jaguars, the way they're supposed to be.
Well, not only do I love him as a character, and I wanted to create a Smoke Jaguar that we could find a little approachable and interesting and thoughtful. One of the those fun real life contacts is, as we know, my wife does a lot of the painting classes and things for Catalyst and the Catalyst demo team. So she usually, I may commission that picture just to put up in our paint and take areas.
If you make one, I will buy a copy. I will help you with that.
I like that idea quite a bit. That is a cool one. I'm gonna have to throw that one out to her.
Sounds
I
good.
just imagine this giant ogre, his tongue sticking out and his glasses on, holding this miniature up.
Well, I see him being all shoulders right there. So I just see it like this, but massive.
Yeah, like Arnold Schwarzenegger doing it.
Yeah.
Paint my
now you gotta wonder.
Now
Now you gotta wonder if he's a brush licker. You know.
That is the question we get most often, right there. I think that comes up everything. Does he lick the brush? Does he eat the crayon? Who knows?
Yeah, leaded or unleaded paint. That's the question.
All right. I think that's it, because that's right at our hour mark, like we normally cut them for. Got one more. Got one more, Bradley.
Yes.
All right, Bradley's got one more for you.
Michael, personally, this is not a question. This is just me saying, hey, thank you for liberating New Avalon. That's definitely something that I was working on. I know. I was working on like 2 years ago when I found out the New Avalon had been ran over. I was like, I can't stand this. I gotta play to liberate my world. And then Ron told me you gotta read Themicles. It's where we get liberated. And I was like, okay, I gotta get it. I have it. So now I'm gonna sit back and actually dive into it and read it. But I, for one, as a Davian, Thank you, sir, for doing that. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Also, that's one of those areas. Sometimes you also write yourself into an interesting corner. When I originally picked up the project for that book, I thought I was 3/4 of the book, and number one thing I get asked all the time is, why didn't we have more on New Avalon? Well, how the nature of the story and everything needed to go, we needed to continue moving forward. But once again, New Avalon, this was a source book battle for the most part. It showed up, it was mentioned in one source book, and then nothing happens until we get there in Damocles Sanction. So there's a lot of opportunity to see how we got there. But I'm glad I got the story to bring it back to where it belongs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I still want to take and play the game on a table. Any takers?
Hey,
I would definitely like to see how that works out.
I'll tell you right now,
Karita?
Davian takes it back.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
I know how the story ends.
All right, guys. I just want to say
one,
thank you again. Okay, Michael.
Yeah, same here. Take care.
Hold on. I didn't wrap it up yet. You got another one, Jose? What's going on?
Well, I was just going to tell the team that did the Davian and the Karita source books, good job. I totally enjoyed the Karita. I also had the Davian. Bradley and I had a game where he built a force and I built a force using the force press. Like I said, I lost, but that's okay. I'm used to losing against Bradley. No big deal. It was fun, and keep up the good work. That was excellent. Those two books were
The
excellent.
Force Manuals was a great thing. Once again, the combat manuals, force manuals, we've tried a few different things in the past, but we've gotten some really nice feedback from them. We're really liking that, and once again, our development team is constantly trying to come up with fun and exciting things just like those to give you those opportunities. So I will definitely pass that along, but thank you. Once again, the most important thing I want to remind everyone is we could not do this without you. It is your fandom, it is your interest, it is your willingness to play the game and to meet more people who will play the game that allows us to play in this wonderful sandbox. And it's a dream come true for us, and we appreciate every day being able to do a little bit more to make your day a little more special.
We appreciate that.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. All right, thank you guys, and this ends our 17th episode. Thanks again to our guests, and y'all have a good night.